On this day in 1990, serious violence broke out in London during a protest against a new council tax called the poll tax. Thousands attended the rally, calling for it to be scrapped, claiming it was unfair. Many protesters said the march was hijacked by violent anarchists who attacked the police. Ultimately, the hugely unpopular tax was binned, and it also played a part in ending Margaret Thatcher's time as Prime Minister.
The rioting began when police tried to clear Whitehall after demonstrators refused to move from the entrance to Downing Street. The fighting rapidly escalated.
You're scrolling TikTok, you come across a meme that's a little too spicy, and you decide to share it. Next thing you know, the police are at your door. Not for threats, not for violence, but because your share caused anxiety. Sounds like a dystopian movie, right? Except it's real life in the UK. Just ask Darren Brady, a British Army vet arrested for a tweet in 2022. His crime? Pride flags arranged in the shape of a swastika. Offensive? Maybe. Illegal? Apparently so. Today, we're unpacking how the UK went from Magna Carta to speech police, why it's happening, and what it means for you, whether you live in London or halfway across the world. So grab some tea and let's dive into this mess. While all this may seem like a crazy new frenzy that the British government has gone on in the last few years, the reality is this all started in 1986 with the Public Order Act, spearheaded by Margaret Thatcher's iron-fisted government.
South Georgia, God save the Queen.
What happens next, Mr. Knott?
Thank you very much.
What's your reaction, Prime
Rejoice
Minister?
at that news and congratulate our forces and the Marines.
The UK doesn't have a First Amendment like the United States. What they do have is a loose patchwork of laws and traditions dating back to Magna Carta in 1215. But what does that mean in practice? Essentially, the Parliament can limit speech and other rights if they just slap a justified label on it, such as public order or national security. Now let's look at the 80s to figure out how this mess came to be. The UK was a pressure cooker. Miners' strikes crippled the economy, with over 11,000 arrests between 84 and 85. Race riots erupted in Brixton and Toxteth in 1981, sparked by police brutality and systemic inequality. Hundreds injured, cities burning. Then you had the National Front, a far-right group marching through the streets, spewing hate against immigrants and minorities. So Thatcher's crew said, "That's enough," and the Public Order Act was born. Its Section 5 targeted harassment, alarm, or distress caused by threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behavior. On paper, protect the vulnerable. In practice, a sledgehammer. Early cases set the tone. In 2009, Sam Brown, an Oxford student, spent a night in jail after asking a mounted cop, "Hey, is your horse gay?" The officer called it homophobic. In 2010, Christian preacher Dale McAlpin got arrested for saying homosexuality was a sin during a street sermon.
I certainly didn't. This gentleman, I certainly never mentioned homosexuality.
Yeah, we never said you have. The only time I mentioned it was when I was talking to this gentleman here.
Yeah.
When I was up on the step preaching, I didn't mention it then. But even so, it still is not against the law. There's a clause. It isn't. But what about
we're pretty straight. You're under arrest for racially aggravated Section 5 public order offence. You don't have to say anything, but remain harming defence. We don't mention one question, simply which you let rely in court. And you do so, maybe give me evidence.
Fair enough.
A passerby complained, cops swooped in, and he got 7 hours in a cell. These aren't one-off cases either. There are many more of these instances. But the message was clear. We own your freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and whatever else we can think of. Even Mr. Bean himself noticed. Atkinson spoke up against Section 5 in 2012, saying, "If I can see this law's bonkers, you've got a problem." That year, after tons of backlash, Parliament dropped "insulting" from the law's wording. Victory? Sort of, but the 80s vibe, control, stuck around. Fast forward to the 2020s, and free speech is on life support. The Public Order Act of 23 is a beast. New locking on offenses mean gluing yourself to a road could land you 51 weeks in jail, which, judging by some of the climate change and other protesters blocking roads, it may seem great, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. Serious disruption prevention orders let cops ban you from protests before you even show up, based on vibes, not evidence. The Online Safety Act of 23 forces platforms like X and WhatsApp to scan private chats and ditch encryption, or face $18 million fines. Your privacy, gone. Then there's the Investigatory Powers Amendment Act of 24, greenlighting mass surveillance on steroids. Think bulk data grabs on every phone call, email, and Netflix binge. Tech's in on it too. Since 2020, facial recognition's been popping up everywhere. Shops, streets, stadiums. It's becoming reminiscent of China. South Wales police got slapped in court that year for using it illegally, but it's still rolling out, and there's no clear rules. Big Brother's not just watching, he's got facial ID and a grudge. Free Speech Group Article 19 says this creates a chilling effect. People clam up to avoid the spotlight. And the stats back it up. In 23 alone, 1,200 plus arrests tied to protest laws, per Liberty UK. This isn't protection, it's an obvious power grab. But why? Why is the government so openly ripping through basic rights? The 80s were a mess. Thatcher's government faced a triple threat: economic collapse, social unrest, and a PR nightmare. The miners' strike saw 20,000 plus workers battling police over pit closures. Thatcher called them the enemy within. Race riots exposed deep racial tensions. 1981's Scarman Report blamed poverty and policing, but the government leaned on law and order fixes. The National Front's hate rallies, sometimes drawing thousands, pushed the panic button. The Public Order Act was pitched as a shield for minorities and a lid on chaos. Home Secretary Douglas Hurd said in 1986, "We must balance liberty with safety." Fair enough. But critics saw through it. Legal scholar David Feldman warned in 87, "Vague laws invite abuse. It's a blank check for authority." He was right. By the 2000s, the law was nabbing street preachers and protesters, not just neo-Nazis. Today's laws echo that excuse. Safety first. The Online Safety Act claims to shield kids from online nasties, but its dragnet catches dissent too. In 23, a pro-Palestine marcher got charged over a placard reading, "Zionism is racism." A journalist covering a climate rally, arrested for obstructing police. Press freedom's bleeding, stats tell the story. Between 2014 and 2019, over 8,000 people were nabbed under Section 5. Many for shouting at rallies or preaching on corners. Newer laws? The Home Office bragged about 3,500 social media investigations in 2022 alone. Safety's the sell, but control is the game. Now it's personal. In 23, Isabel Von Spruce was cuffed for silently praying near an abortion clinic in Birmingham. Cops asked, "What's in your head?" And she said prayer, arrested under a public space protection order. She's suing, but the absurdity stands.
Long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
Online's a war zone too. The Online Safety Act has platforms preemptively axing posts. In 24, comedian Leo Kearse's tweet joking about a politician's weight got flagged as hate speech. He faced a police interview. Real cases pile up. At 23, Freedom of Information requests showed 11,000 plus non-crime hate incidents logged by UK police since 2014. Think tweets or rants that don't even break laws, but they stay on your record. The UK's free speech ranking slid to 33rd globally in 24 per Article 19, behind Chile, Moldova, even Namibia. Worse, 2023 saw more journalists arrested per capita here than in Russia, 14 versus 11, per the Committee to Protect Journalists. A 24 Index on Censorship survey found 62% of Brits self-censor online, fearing legal blowback. That's not a democracy, and that's not an open and free country. That's a chokehold. Because free speech isn't for the polite stuff. It's for the raw, the hated, the stuff that makes you squirm. Orwell nailed it in 1945. If liberty means anything, it's telling people what they don't want to hear. The UK has forgotten that. I'll leave you with a quote from Ben Franklin. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Thank you, and never let your voice be strangled.